Greetings, fellow Whovians. May the force be with you. I think I'm getting my science fiction series confused at this point. Anyway, new episode of Doctor Who. Space Babies. Soft reboot. I mean, the way they're classifying this is technically episode 2 of season 1, but don't even get me started on that. It's a whole mess, even the Doctor Who fan community, which I used to be pretty involved with. I know how messy it is. Speaking of messy, alright, just notice the background there is a little bit dim. That's a little bit overexposed. And let me just cycle on the light. And there we go. Reset the white balance. Alright. Sorry about that technical issue. Anyway, as I was saying, personally, myself is a pretty hardcore Whovian who has a Doctor Who tattoo on my arm, which I would show you, but I'm in wardrobe, so hard to do. Once I take this off, and there'd be a whole thing to do. People have seen it. Just watch my other videos; you'll see it plenty if I'm not wearing sleeves. So, anyway, yes, hardcore fan of the show, the Whovian, as we've seen dub ourselves. The way everyone's got their own almost definitions. There is no necessarily right answer, I don't think, even though people argue about this constantly. The reason I was involved in that community, writing for an online magazine, fanzine site for a while for Doctor Who. I left just because the fan base became too toxic. And mind you, this is back in like 2012, 2013. Not even modern day internet. So it's always been kind of iffy, but when a show's been around 60 years, that'll happen. And anyway, yeah. So I personally consider this, I guess whatever season of the new reboot we're on in the first episode. Either way, let's just, it is the start of a new era. It definitely feels that way. Even though it's also a return to an old era with Russell T Davies running the show again and writing this episode. I do want to say right off the bat, because it probably is the title of this video. It's not entirely clickbaity because it's something I do want to talk about without spoiling anything at all. You'll see why when I say what I say, is that I think this, for a show that's constantly reinventing itself every 4 or 5 years, because typically actors that play the Doctor stick around 3 seasons and then they're out. Sometimes those 3 seasons take through 4 to 5 years to film because there's special, like the Christmas specials in between, other specials. I never consider that part of the season proper. Those are sort of in between things. They fit in the chronology of release order that way. And Netflix had the same problem where they would consider certain specials as part of a season, technically, if not the way they listed it. I think Disney Plus is having the same issue. Right now for season 1, it says that their episode 1 was in the Church on Ruby Road, the Christmas special. So, really, to me, this feels like a proper first episode. And again, it's probably point I was trying to make. I started to say, calm down there, slow down. You're excited. I think this might, again, for a show that constantly is reinventing itself by recasting the lead actor and changing up the character, and a lot of times the creative team behind the character. So they're always kind of doing soft reboots of the show. That's their staple thing. It's part of the charm of the show, actually. This feels like something different. It's the only comparison to make is to the original reboot of the show in 2005, when Russell T Davies took over originally as showrunner and head writer, and brought us the 9th Doctor, Mr. Eccleston. Because a lot of people, again, there's a debate amongst Doctor Who fans of, what's the best, introductory episode of a show someone who's never seen the show, or what's the best introduction of a Doctor, or whatever. Honestly, even though technically the 60th end of it and the Christmas special was sort of 14th Doctor, Shigegawa, his debut. It really feels like this episode was sort of, and again, it felt like more of a pilot. That's what I said. This to me is I think the comparisons between this episode and Rose are there, like, and you can see how much Davis has grown as a writer in that long time span. Um, like, I went over my notes earlier to look at it, but I mean, this episode, it's a really great episode to show to someone who's never seen the show. It's a great crash course in everything. Like because the show's got 60 years of mythology and lore behind it. It can be a daunting task for a lot of people if they even know about that going into it. But honestly, this episode does an amazing job of acknowledging like all the major lore, not all of them, a lot of the major lore beats that have happened over that time, especially even recent years. Doesn't make a big deal of them. Works them naturally into the conversation, to forward the plot and character development. Like, it's very well done. It's, as someone who's seen all of this stuff, it's great. I can tell it's a very good summarization. Puts a lot of what's happened previously in the series in a simple nutshell. It's honestly thought impossible task to cram all that into something simple here and there dropped in the episode, but Davies found a way to do it. I give him a lot of credit. The other thing that I think makes it a great intro episode for someone who's not familiar with the show is it like an onboarding thing to like, hey, here's what Doctor Who's about, kind of thing. It has all of the elements of it's a quintessential Doctor Who episode. What did I write down in terms of the different things? Because all these staple elements of Doctor Who: mystery, comedy, horror, cuteness. There's a lot of in this episode, and adorableness. It's heartwarming at times and also heartbreaking. And it can hit all of those beats like that and turn on a dime in a scene. 14th Doctor, sure you got what? He definitely has shades of the 10th Doctor, David Tennant. And shades. It's not like it's... You can see the similarities there that exist there. And in the performance, I think that's probably due to the writing too, being Davies kind of thing. But... And also, if you know what happened how the 60th ended, it also kind of makes sense. I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it. I'm not going to spoil anything about this episode. Other than to say that, yeah, it really impressed me. I think if you compare it directly to Rose, in terms of like a pilot, like to start something off, that's what this feels like. Even though there are references, for sure, to the Christmas special that kind of started with at least the companion. It really was this kickoff for the 14th Doctor and Ruby, his new companion. But they're not essential really to the plot per se in the episode. It's the kind of thing where still I would recommend show someone this, and if they're into it, then you can show them the Christmas special. Like, oh, here's what they're talking about. This stuff that happened before then, and then you can go from there however you want. Yeah, this definitely feels like, again, because of the rumors were true, what we heard, that they were going to kind of soft reboot the show, like, in a big way, like, in a way they haven't done since 2005. Like, really update, like, get that extra budget money from Disney, really, and you can, I mean, it's shown in all the stuff they've done so far as co-productions, but yeah, you can see it on screen, and it does help, I think. For newer viewers, because you try and show someone Doctor Who when it started back in the 2005 stuff, it looks dated now, visual effects wise. I mean, they were always done cheaply, but it doesn't hold up that great. So, not that it should matter. The strength of the storytelling's there. And it's here too, and the performances are really great. The writing's excellent. Yeah, Davies is, I think, building towards something really fun and special here. Space Babies was a great episode. Great way to introduce Ncuti Gatwa in there. And like I said, I honestly do think, because again, this is the opinion that comes up, and I mean, well, it is a coincidence because it's the only 2 Doctor Who shirts that I own. Both are too small for me to wear anymore. But people debate, not even just like episodes to show someone to get them into the show, but good one-off episodes, that kind of thing. And I mentioned this in the other video where I did bring that up. Mentioned I was going to do this review. Because Blink is a high, episode called Blink is high on a lot of people's lists. This episode introduces the Weeping Angels. It's on the T-shirt there. And yeah, it's a good episode. I don't know. It's personally for me, I don't think it would be something I would show someone just like, here's what the show is. Because it's actually a very different episode than what a typical episode of the show is like. If there is such a thing. Which I guess there is. And if anything, Space Babies is absolutely that. It's quintessential Doctor Who on every level. It hits every single beat you need to and explains pretty much everything you need to know about the show very quickly and very concisely. It's very well written in terms of taking a lot of information and just, yeah. You know, again, while Rose was a good introduction sort of to the world of Doctor Who, it doesn't quite capture all of how big and vast and kind of crazy things can get and are. It gets a little bit, you get a taste of it, but it's not there. One of my, even like, again, introducing a new Doctor, I mean, you know, it's always tricky. Like, even with Tennant, like, Christmas Invasion was his first episode, but he doesn't do a lot until, like, the final act, and then it's fun, but, so it's, I don't know if that really shines as his, like, oh, this is the new, like, it really, like, it, the 11th hour is probably, in terms of the modern era of New Who, I think it's still probably the best. Next to maybe this, I think Space Babies may overtake the 11th hour for me, which is the introduction to the 11th Doctor, Matt Smith. But again, that episode really is more so character building. And it's also building a bigger plot for that, not only that season, but that whole 11th Doctor arc that Moffat wrote. So, but it's a pretty good introduction to the show and the character, but not so much how expansive the show gets, because it's all still kind of in one I don't want to say too much about Space Babies, but yeah, again, it's a really good onboard episode, I think, for anyone. Personally, with me, not even like if you get people into the show, I like to show them Vincent and the Doctor, the episode with him and Van Gogh, Vincent Van Gogh, or Van Gogh, as the British would say. But we'll get into more of that when I cover more Doctor Who stuff. Because normally, I would be, where did I put it? Oh yeah, normally I'd be wearing this, like my TARDIS hat, which I love quite a bit. But I thought about it, and I'm like, you know what? I got that burgundy hockey jersey, which has a little bit of a V-neck on it. I know I got a leather coat or two, actually, a couple, but there's the closest one I could find. And my hair's actually, for once, too short, and obviously the beard, but, you know, earlobes are still here. There's a joke for some of you fans. But yeah, anyway, I thought I would go with this as a nice little nod to Russell T Davies' first episode as showrunner, Rose. There's a lot, just, you know, the evolution of where that episode was is like introduction to the show and where Space Babies is at. Because really, again, I know Disney classified it, same problem Netflix had. Really, this is episode 1, season 1 of the new era, new show, really. I mean, it's always a new show every time there's a new Doctor, but really, this feels different in a good way. It gets new while also being a return to form. Because for some people, didn't really like the 12th and 13th Doctor eras. 14, no. Yeah, Shooty's the 15, sorry. Because, yeah. 11, Matt Smith. 12, Capaldi. 13, Whittaker. 14, Tennant, again, as 14. And then, yeah. Sorry, I misspoke earlier. Shooty got is 15. Just, yeah. Because the whole thing that happened with the other thing, I don't want to, again, I want to keep this spoiler free. So, at least about the Space Babies episode. I could talk about stuff that happened previously, but I know some people that I'm going to probably recommend this to haven't seen it yet, so I'm waiting for them to get caught up, so I don't want to spoil anything for you guys. In the bigger storyline here, which is still going on, Davies is setting up, I think, an overall arc for his run of the show for how many every years that goes on. I think he's setting up, from the beginning, he's been setting something up, and didn't see much of that in this episode. This was kind of just, again, introducing a whole new audience to the show, I would think. Really, this is the episode to do it. It's great for that. Absolutely great. Really enjoyed it. And apparently, I didn't know this until I went to go pull the episode up this morning. And it went up last night, but hockey was on. Apparently, they released the second episode, too. So we got 2 for 1. Yay. So I gotta do that as well, but I have other plans today, so might be a little bit before I get to that review of that episode. It'll be before next week's episode, obviously, but sometime between now and then, I'll review The Devil's Cord. That's what it's called. So don't know who wrote it yet. But, Russell T Davies wrote Space Babies, but I think he's written everything so far since he took back over. I know I have other writers on if it's supposed to do an episode at some point. So anyway, the good thing is when I'm not, now that the playoffs are here with hockey, as you can see, I did change up some of the temporary set background. Another custom jersey with my name on it, but a little more Tartus blue this time. Figured it was appropriate. Oh, but yes, while I have Disney Plus for a couple of months to watch Doctor Who, I got to get caught up on a few things, namely some Star Wars. Tales of the Empire and Season 3 of Bad Batch are both out. So, quite a Star Wars fan. See, hidden Grogu, you didn't even see him. So tiny. I'm mad the whole time. Just chilling. I want to do X-Men 97 as well. I want to do reviews for all 3 of those shows. Well, I've still got Disney Plus. I think that's all I'm behind on. I don't think there's anything else major I'm missing. If there is, if there's something else in the comments that we to do, something recent. I'm not gonna go back and do like Loki season 2 again. But at this point, it's past, and if I was doing this then, I would have been talking about every episode of that show. Because oh boy, maybe we'll go back to it if they do something more with it. And if there is going to be a season 3 of the Halo show, definitely going to talk about that episode by episode. I'm still going to go back and talk about it anyway pretty soon when it's relevant to do so, or when I feel like it. So this has gone long enough for my spoiler-free review that didn't say too much about the episode or much of anything. Just some Doctor Who stuff in general. Like I said, if you're new to the show, which, hey, you know what? Some people watching this might be, because I've been talking about hockey a lot. I warn people, there's other things I do talk about and love. Doctor Who is one of them. So expect more of this, and you will get more of this between now and even next Saturday. So I'm going to try and do this on Saturdays because that's the traditional Doctor Who day. I know they kind of screwed up the schedule this year with the you all know. If you know, you know. So it is what it is. Anyway, I got to take off because I got to get outside and start building a thing. So, it's like a thing, only better. You'll see.